The small blue light on Jack Miller's desk blinked 3 times. This was not a drill. After 15 years in space, something had finally answered back. Jack rubbed his tired eyes and pressed the comm button. "Miller here. What did you find?" "Sir," came the voice of Lisa Patel, his sensor officer. "You need to see this. Right now." 10 minutes later, Jack stood in the main sensor room of the ESV Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space vessel. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machines. 6 crew members stared at the main screen, nobody daring to speak first. "Play it again," Jack ordered. The recording showed empty space near Neptune's orbit. Then a slight shimmer appeared, followed by a pulse of light that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. The pattern repeated exactly 7 times before disappearing. "It changed course when it spotted us," Lisa said, pointing to the data stream running below the video. "Whatever it is, it was coming toward our solar system, then deliberately turned away. Could be a natural explanation," Jack said, though he didn't believe it. The hair on his arms stood up. This was it. The moment humans had waited for since they first looked at the stars. "No natural explanation, sir," said Ben Hayes, the science officer. "We've checked everything. That light pattern is too perfect. And look at this." He pulled up another screen showing energy readings. "It's giving off radiation in precise mathematical sequences. Prime numbers." Jack took a deep breath. "So we're looking at a ship. An alien ship." "Yes, sir," Lisa answered. "And it's running away from us." Over the next week, the horizon followed this strange radiation trail. The alien vessel, if that's what it was, kept its distance but didn't accelerate beyond their tracking ability. It was almost like it wanted to be followed, but only so far. On the 8th day, they received the first message. It came as a series of mathematical equations that the ship's computer translated into a simple statement: "Please do not pursue. For your safety and ours. They're afraid of us," Jack said during the emergency meeting with his officers. "Why would an advanced species that can travel between stars fear humans?" "Maybe they know something we don't," Ben suggested. 2 days later, the alien vessel stopped. It hung in space at the exact midpoint between Neptune and Uranus. When the horizon approached within 10,000 kilometers, a new transmission arrived. This time, it included symbols their computer could partially translate. "We are Eldarim. We speak for many. Your world is known to us." Jack decided to respond personally. "This is Commander Jack Miller of Earth Vessel Horizon. We come in peace and seek friendship." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Peace is our wish as well. But proximity is dangerous. We will communicate from this distance only." Over the next few days, they learned the Eldarim claimed to be among the oldest species traveling the stars. They communicated through mathematics and light, concepts universal to intelligent life. Their representative called itself Memory Keeper and explained that the Eldarim had observed Earth for thousands of years, but had strict rules against approaching closer than Jupiter's orbit. "Why stay so far away?" Jack asked during one exchange. "Historical protocols must be followed," came the reply. "Earth is special, dangerous. We mean no harm," Jack insisted. The Memory Keeper's response was slow in coming. When it finally arrived, the message was clear but puzzling. "It is not your intentions that concern us, but your nature. Some things in this galaxy are best left undisturbed. Your planet has been quarantined for 12 million years for good reason." Jack looked out the viewport toward the distant blue dot that was Earth. 12 million years. Their planet had been on some alien no-go lists since before humans had even evolved from apes. "What exactly are you afraid of finding on Earth?" he asked. The final message of the day left everyone on the bridge in stunned silence. "We are not afraid of what we might find on Earth. We are afraid of what has already found its way out." 3 months after first contact, Earth was buzzing with excitement. 7 different alien species had opened communication channels with humans. All of them came through Eldarim introductions. None would come closer than Jupiter's orbit. Susan Wright stood in the United Earth Space Command's main communication center. As Earth's top expert in alien languages, she had spent every waking hour learning to talk with the new visitors. But something bothered her. "They're hiding something," she said to Jack Miller, who had been promoted after his discovery. "Every time I ask why they won't visit Earth, they change the subject." Jack nodded. "I noticed that too. The Krell ambassador called it historical protocol, and the Mizari mentioned something about necessary quarantine procedures." Susan pulled up her notes on the large screen. "Look at this pattern. Every species uses different words but says the same thing. They act like Earth has some kind of disease. Or like we have the disease," Jack said quietly. That evening, they had their regular communication session with the Eldarim memory keeper. The alien had finally agreed to send visual data, showing itself as a tall, thin being with silvery skin and large, dark eyes. "Memory keeper," Susan began, "we've been patient, but we need to understand why the galactic community treats Earth like a danger zone." The alien was silent for so long they thought the connection had failed. Finally, it spoke. "What I tell you now comes from our deepest archives, records kept for over 12 million years. Images appeared on their screen. Ancient star charts showing Earth's solar system. Strange symbols surrounded Earth, which the translation program interpreted as cradle of the feared ones and birthplace of the uncontainable. Long ago, the memory keeper continued, something evolved on your world that should not have existed. Something that spread to the stars and brought great suffering." "What kind of creature?" Jack asked, leaning forward. "Not just a creature. An evolutionary path. A direction of development that the universe had not seen before and has not seen since." The alien's voice became softer. "Until now." Susan felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying there's something dangerous on Earth?" "We are saying there is something dangerous about Earth. About what it produces." The memory keeper's large eyes seemed to stare directly at them. "We have watched your development with great concern. Your species carries markers we recognize from the ancient warnings." Jack stood up, anger flashing across his face. "You're talking about humans. You think we're dangerous. We had hoped the threat had gone extinct, but your emergence confirms our worst fears." Susan tried to stay calm. "What exactly do these ancient records say about us?" "They say your kind should not exist, that the universe is safer when your kind does not reach the stars." The room fell silent. Outside the window, Earth glowed blue and beautiful against the blackness of space. "That doesn't make sense," Jack finally said. "Humans have only been space-capable for less than a century. How could ancient records from millions of years ago warn about us?" The memory keeper's next words came slowly, carefully chosen. "Not about your current form. About what you descended from. About what still lives in your cells and waits to be awakened." Susan pulled up human DNA on one screen. "Are you talking about our genetic code? Is there something in our DNA that scares you?" "There is something in your potential that terrifies us," the alien corrected. "You carry within you the seeds of something the galaxy faced once before, something it barely survived." Jack shook his head in disbelief. "We're just people. We want to explore and learn, not threaten anyone." "So you believe," the memory keeper said. "But we have seen the pattern before. It begins with curiosity. It ends with consumption." The alien reached toward something off-screen, and suddenly their view changed. They were looking at what appeared to be ancient ruins on an unknown world. Buildings lay crushed. The ground was scorched black. This was the Varian homeworld, the memory keeper said. A peaceful civilization of 15 billion souls. This is what remained after they welcomed the ones who came from Earth 60 million years ago. The ones we fear you may become. "I volunteer," Olivia Ross said, her voice echoing in the quiet meeting room. All eyes turned to her. The United Earth Council had spent weeks debating who to send on the most important journey in human history. The Eldarim had finally agreed to let a small team of humans visit their outpost, a massive structure orbiting a red dwarf star 17 light-years from Earth. "Captain Ross," said the council leader, "you understand this mission will take 4 years each way, even with our fastest ship." Olivia nodded. At 35, she was the youngest captain in Earth's fleet, but also the most capable. 8 years of my life is a small price to pay for answers we need." 3 weeks later, Olivia and her crew of 5 boarded the ESV Pathfinder. The ship carried Earth's experimental faster-than-light drive, never tested on such a long journey. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Olivia wondered if she would ever see it again. The journey passed without major problems. When they finally arrived at the Eldarim outpost, Olivia pressed her face against the viewport. The structure was massive, a ring-shaped station that could have housed millions. "It's beautiful," whispered Greg Wilson, the team's biologist. "And ancient," added Faye Martinez, their historian. "Look at those outer sections. The metal has different aging patterns. Some parts must be thousands of years older than others." A soft light appeared, guiding their ship to a docking area. When the airlock opened, they became the first humans to step onto an alien structure. 3 Eldarim greeted them. In person, the aliens were taller than expected, nearly 7 feet high with silver-gray skin that seemed to shimmer. Their 4-fingered hands gestured gracefully as they led the humans inside. "We welcome you to the historical repository," said the lead Eldarim, speaking through a translation device. "I am Keeper of Forgotten Tales. My colleagues and I maintain this knowledge center." The humans followed their hosts through wide corridors. The walls displayed moving images of strange worlds and creatures. One section showed what looked like the birth and death of stars. "How old is this place?" Olivia asked. "The original structure was built 19 million years ago," replied the keeper. "We have expanded it many times since then." They entered a vast chamber filled with what appeared to be data storage units. Energy fields flickered between crystal columns that reached from floor to ceiling. "This is the historical repository, what you might call a galactic library," explained the keeper. "It contains records from thousands of civilizations spanning millions of years." Faye could barely contain her excitement. "May we access these records?" "Some areas remain restricted," the keeper said. "But we have prepared specific historical accounts for your review. Records of a species that emerged approximately 60 million years ago on your world." They were led to a smaller room with screens that adjusted to human vision. The keeper activated the system, and images appeared. "These are the Voraks," the keeper said. The creatures shown in the ancient recordings walked on 2 legs, but looked nothing like humans. They had thick, reptilian skin, elongated heads, and eyes that seemed to glow with intelligence. Their movements were quick and precise. "They evolved on Earth?" Greg asked, studying the images with professional interest. "Yes, after the great extinction that ended the reign of your world's large reptiles, they evolved swiftly. In less than 1 million years, they went from simple tool users to space travelers." More images showed Vorak ships, sleek vessels that resembled predatory fish. Other scenes displayed worlds being colonized, resources being harvested. "According to our records, they expanded rapidly," the keeper continued. "They consumed resources and left devastation across hundreds of star systems. They were evolutionary perfection, adaptable, intelligent, and utterly ruthless." Olivia watched as the records showed Voraks in different environments: underwater, in toxic atmospheres, even in the vacuum of space briefly. They could survive anywhere. "Their most remarkable trait was adaptation," confirmed the keeper. "Rapid healing, extreme environmental adaptability, and what we translate as destructive ingenuity. They could find the weakness in any defense." "What happened to them?" Olivia asked. The keeper changed the display to show what appeared to be a massive space battle. A coalition of all spacefaring species fought a devastating war against them. Millions died. Thousands of worlds were lost. And the Voraks were defeated. Not exactly. The keeper's voice grew quieter. They disappeared mysteriously. Some ships escaped. We believe they retreated back to Earth to recover and evolve anew. The meaning of these words hung heavy in the room. Olivia finally understood. Peter Clark wiped sweat from his forehead. Despite the freezing temperature, the Antarctic wind howled outside their research dome. But inside, all 6 scientists stood in silent shock. "Run the scan again," Peter said. As the lead geologist on this expedition, he needed to be absolutely sure. Dr. Mia Wilson adjusted the ground-penetrating radar controls. "Same result, Peter. There's something down there that doesn't match any natural ice formation." 2 miles beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, their instruments had detected perfectly straight lines and geometric patterns. Nature didn't create such shapes. "How old?" Peter asked. "Initial readings suggest the anomaly is at least 60 million years old," Maya replied. Peter looked at his team. "We need to reach it." 3 weeks later, the drilling was complete. Peter led the team down the narrow shaft. Their spotlights revealed a chamber melted into the ancient ice. The walls were smooth and curved, clearly artificial. "This was built," whispered Dr. Frank Lobes, their archaeologist. "Someone created this chamber before humans even existed." In the center of the chamber sat a dark, metallic structure. It was roughly oval-shaped, about 15 feet long and 8 feet tall. Its surface reflected their lights with an unnatural glow. "It's a preservation chamber," said Dr. Ava Johnson, studying her scanner readings. "And it's still active after 60 million years." Frank approached it cautiously. "There appears to be an opening mechanism here." With careful movements, the team activated the ancient controls. A seam appeared along the side of the oval container. Cold mist poured out as the chamber opened. Inside, suspended in clear, crystal-like material, were 3 preserved bodies. They weren't human. They had thick, scaled skin, elongated skulls, and limbs that ended in clawed fingers. Each was about 7 feet tall. "My God," whispered Peter. "These match the Vorax descriptions from the Eldarim records." The team worked carefully to extract tissue samples. Back in their lab dome, analysis began immediately. "These creatures don't match anything in Earth's fossil record," said Dr. Helen Park, their biologist. She pointed to detailed scans of the specimens. "Look at these skeletal structures. They are reinforced in ways we've never seen. And the neural pathways in their preserved brain tissue are unlike any Earth species." "There's something else," said Ava, looking up from her computer. "Their DNA." "What about it?" Peter asked. "It has similarities to human genetic code. Specific regions that control adaptability, aggression, and intelligence." Ava's face was pale. "It's not a complete match, but these sequences appear in modern humans." Peter leaned against the lab table. "You're saying we share DNA with them? That we're related to these creatures?" "It's more than that," Ava said. "These beings show evidence of advanced biological engineering. They weren't natural evolution. They were designed." The team sent their findings to Earth's Science Council, who shared it with their Eldarim contacts. For 30 days, all alien communication stopped completely. When they finally responded, the message was brief. "You have found your predecessors. The Vorax separated their consciousness from their biological forms before their defeat. They embedded themselves into the simplest survivors on your world, guiding evolution toward their eventual rebirth. You are what remains of them, what they became." Peter sat alone that night, watching the Antarctic storm rage outside. Humanity had always wondered about their origins, creating countless myths and religions to explain where they came from. Now they had an answer, but it wasn't what anyone had expected. Humans weren't the special creation of benevolent gods. They were the carefully guided evolution of the galaxy's most feared predators. The communication console beeped. It was Jack Miller calling from Space Command. "Did you see the Eldarim message?" Peter asked. "Yes." Jack's face looked grim on the screen. "How are your specimens?" "Secure. We've barely begun studying them." Jack nodded. Keep everything under tight security. Every government on Earth is in emergency meetings right now. Finding out we're carrying the DNA of space monsters hasn't exactly been good for global stability. What happens now? Peter asked. Now we need to know exactly what we are, Jack said, and whether the aliens are right to fear us. News spread across Earth like wildfire. Riots broke out in major cities. Religious leaders called emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. The revelation that humans carried the genetic legacy of a species feared across the galaxy shook civilization to its core. Dr. Alan Becker watched the chaos unfold on the screens in his lab. As head of the Global Genetics Initiative, he hadn't slept in days. His team had been analyzing the Vorax DNA samples nonstop, comparing them with human genetic code. Another church bombing in Madrid, said his assistant, Diane Garcia. People are terrified they have monster DNA. Alan shook his head. Fear makes people do terrible things. Any progress? Diane asked, nodding toward the complex genetic maps displayed on his monitors. Maybe. Alan pointed to a section of code. Look at these sequences. The Eldarim think they're Vorax influence guiding human evolution. But I think they've got it backward. What do you mean? These aren't controlling sequences. They're being controlled. Ellen pulled up another display. See these genetic markers? They only appear in early hominids, our distant ancestors. They developed alongside the Vorax sequences, containing them. Ellen moved to the central holographic display. It showed a complex dance of genetic material spanning millions of years of evolution. Humans didn't evolve to become the Vorax. We evolved specifically to prevent becoming them. 3 days later, Jack Miller, now Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet, called an emergency meeting. Alan presented his findings to military leaders, scientists, and government officials from around the world. The Vorax were indeed incredibly adaptable, Alan explained. According to the data we've gathered, they could modify their own genetic code in response to environmental challenges. It made them nearly impossible to defeat. He showed images of the preserved specimens, but they had a fatal flaw. Their adaptability came at the cost of stability. Their rapid evolution became uncontrollable. Our analysis suggests they were facing a genetic collapse when they attempted their final solution. Ellen switched to a display of ancient primate DNA. They tried to preserve their essence by integrating key genetic sequences into Earth's primitive mammals. They hoped to guide evolution toward recreating their species. But it didn't work as planned, Jack said. No, Alan agreed. Something unexpected happened. The host species developed natural suppressors, genetic safeguards that contained the more dangerous aspects of the Vorax DNA. The room filled with murmurs and whispers. Can you prove this? Asked General Laura Hayes. We've identified specific regulatory sequences in human DNA that don't appear in any other Earth species, Alan said. They emerged around 2 million years ago, coinciding with the first major brain development in our ancestors. These sequences act like a cage around the Vorax genes. So we're not monsters, Jack said quietly. We carry their potential, Alan corrected, but we evolved the ability to control it. In fact, the very things that make us human, our compassion, our social bonds, our ability to regulate emotions, these may have developed specifically as counters to Vorax aggression and selfishness. When diplomatic relations resumed, Jack presented these findings to the Eldarim Council via video link. The aliens listened without interruption. We are not what you fear, Jack told them. We are what survived them. We carry their potential, yes, but we spent millions of years learning to control it. The Eldarim Memory Keeper responded with skepticism. Your history is filled with violence and conquest, behaviors consistent with Vorax tendencies. We don't deny our capacity for violence, Jack admitted. But look at our achievements too. Art, music, poetry, our willingness to sacrifice for others, our ability to choose compassion over power. These aren't Vorax traits. Words, said the Memory Keeper. We need proof. Alan stepped forward. Then let us show you. Let us demonstrate that humans can access these abilities without becoming monsters. What are you suggesting? Jack asked. A controlled experiment, Alan replied. Volunteers who undergo specific treatments to activate dormant Vorax genetic expressions. Jack looked alarmed. You want to turn people into them? Not into them, Alan said firmly. The point is to prove we won't become them, even when accessing their abilities. That humans maintain control even when tapping into these ancient powers. The Eldarim were silent for a long moment before responding. We will observe this demonstration. But be warned. If you unleash what once nearly destroyed the galaxy, we will not hesitate to end the threat permanently. Dr. Karen Mitchell checked the monitors one last time. The testing chamber was ready. Through reinforced glass windows, representatives from 7 alien species watched with a mixture of curiosity and fear. The first volunteer is ready, Karen told Admiral Jack Miller, who stood beside her. Karen was a neurobiologist who had mapped the connection between the ancient Vorax genes and human consciousness. For the past month, she had developed tests to prove humans maintained control even when accessing these dormant abilities. Send him in, Jack ordered. The chamber door opened, and a man in a simple gray jumpsuit entered. Nathan Palmer was a 32-year-old former soldier who had volunteered for the tests. He looked nervous but determined. Remember, Karen said through the speaker, we'll start with simple physical challenges, then move to more complex scenarios. Nathan nodded. I'm ready. The first test measured strength. Metal weights appeared through a slot in the wall. Lift as much as you comfortably can, Karen instructed. Nathan easily lifted weights that would challenge most athletes. Sensors monitored his body, showing elevated heart rate, but nothing unusual. Now, Karen continued, I want you to focus on the feeling in your muscles. Remember the injection we gave you activated certain dormant genetic sequences. Try to access that strength now. Nathan closed his eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then his breathing changed. When he opened his eyes, they seemed more alert, more focused. He approached the weights again. This time, he lifted twice as much with apparent ease. The aliens shifted uneasily behind their window. Remarkable, Karen noted. Nathan is accessing enhanced strength through controlled genetic expression. But look at his brain patterns, still completely human, still in control. The next test involved healing. A small, controlled cut was made on Nathan's arm. Under normal circumstances, it would take days to heal. Focus on the injury, Karen guided. Direct your body's resources there. Nathan stared at the cut. Within minutes, it began to close. Within an hour, it was completely healed. One of the Eldarim observers touched the glass. This is how it begins, it warned. The Vorax could redirect their cellular energy at will. Yes, Karen agreed, but Nathan's brain shows no signs of the aggression markers we identified in the preserved Vorax specimens. He's accessing the ability without the predatory instincts. The final test was the most dangerous. Nathan entered a simulation room designed to create extreme stress. The scenario, trapped in a collapsing building with limited oxygen and one other person, an actor playing an injured civilian. We need to see what happens when survival instincts activate, Karen explained to the observers. Inside the simulation, smoke filled the room. Temperature rose rapidly. Debris fell from the ceiling. Oxygen levels dropped. Nathan had to choose between saving himself or risking his life for the stranger. The aliens watched intently as Nathan's vital signs showed his body beginning to access more Vorax abilities. Increased lung efficiency, enhanced strength, accelerated thinking. His cells were adapting to the harsh environment. This is the moment of truth, Jack said quietly. A pure Vorax would abandon the other person without hesitation. In the chamber, Nathan struggled to lift a heavy beam that had trapped the actor. His muscles strained as he tapped deeper into his genetic potential. For a moment, his features seemed to shift, becoming more angular, more predatory. The aliens pressed closer to the glass, clearly alarmed. Then something unexpected happened. Nathan began speaking to the trapped person, reassuring them. His features softened. Brain scans showed activation in regions associated with empathy and social connection, regions the Vorax specimens lacked entirely. With one final effort, Nathan freed the actor and helped them toward the exit. As the simulation ended, his body returned to normal. "That's impossible," one of the alien observers said. "The Vorax would never sacrifice efficiency for another." Karen smiled. "That's exactly our point." When faced with the choice between survival and compassion, Nathan chose compassion, even while accessing these ancient abilities. After 6 more volunteers showed similar results, the Eldarim requested a private meeting. "We have witnessed something unprecedented," the Memory Keeper admitted. "Your kind carries the physical capabilities of the Vorax, but your minds work differently. You have emotional restraints they never possessed." "It's called humanity," Jack said simply. The Memory Keeper's large eyes studied him. "Perhaps, but what happens when these abilities are pushed to their limits? When true survival is at stake?" "That's what we need to find out," Karen said. Everyone watched through reinforced windows as Nathan Palmer entered the sealed chamber. For this final test, he would receive a treatment designed to fully activate the dormant Vorax genetic sequences in his DNA. "Are you sure about this?" Jack asked Dr. Karen Mitchell. "No," she admitted. "But Nathan is. And we need to know." Inside the chamber, medical devices delivered a special compound into Nathan's bloodstream. For several minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then he doubled over in pain. "His cellular structure is changing," Karen reported, watching the monitors. "Heart rate tripling. Brain activity off the charts." Nathan fell to his knees. His skin rippled as muscles beneath grew and shifted. When he looked up, his eyes had changed. They glowed with an inner light. His features had sharpened, becoming more angular. He looked both human and something else. "Nathan," Karen called through the speaker. "Can you understand me?" When he spoke, his voice was deeper. "Yes, I'm still here. But there's more now. Memories that aren't mine. Knowledge I never learned." The Eldarim Memory Keeper pressed closer to the glass. "The ancestral memories are waking. This is too dangerous." Karen ignored the warning. "Nathan, what do you feel?" "Power," he replied. "I could tear this room apart. I could survive things no human should." He flexed his hand, watching as the skin became thicker, more resilient. "I understand why they feared us." "Us," Jack noted with alarm. "The Vorax," Nathan clarified, then shook his head. "No, not us. Them. I'm still me." To test this claim, Karen started the final challenge. 3 doors opened in the chamber. Behind one stood a human child, actually a highly realistic robot. Behind another was a sample of rare minerals that would give whoever possessed them great wealth. Behind the third was a weapon of tremendous power. "Choose," Karen instructed. The Eldarim shifted nervously. According to their records, the Vorax always chose power over all else. Nathan moved with incredible speed, his transformed body flowing like water. He examined each door carefully. His enhanced senses could detect the differences between real and artificial life, could analyze the mineral composition from a distance, could assess the weapon's capabilities instantly. He stepped toward the weapon. "It's happening," whispered the Memory Keeper. "He will choose destruction." But Nathan passed the weapon door. He moved to the child robot, gently lifted it, and carried it to safety in the center of the room, away from the other choices. "Even knowing it isn't real," he explained, "I choose to protect it, because that's what humans do." Then something unexpected happened. Nathan began to change back. The glowing faded from his eyes. His muscles returned to normal size. Within minutes, he looked entirely human again. "What happened?" Jack asked, bewildered. Karen checked the readings in amazement. His body rejected the changes. The human genetic safeguards activated automatically. They're shutting down the Vorax expressions. Impossible, said the memory keeper. The Vorax adaptations were perfect. No biological system could override them. Unless, Karen suggested, that's exactly what human DNA evolved to do. We're not just carrying their potential, we're carrying the solution to it. For 60 days, the Eldarim Council deliberated. Representatives from 17 alien species reviewed the test results. When they finally delivered their verdict, Jack stood before them as Earth's ambassador. We acknowledge that humans are not the Vorax reborn, the memory keeper announced. You are something new, a species that incorporated the strengths of a dangerous predecessor while developing unprecedented restraints. The alien gestured to a star chart showing Earth's solar system, now with new symbols surrounding it. Your kind carries fire, but you have learned to contain it rather than be consumed by it. This makes you neither safe nor dangerous, but necessary. The galactic community cautiously welcomed humanity with a unique designation, Guardians of Balance. Earth was recognized as the first known instance where evolution had created its own solution to a dangerous species. The quarantine is conditionally lifted, the memory keeper declared. Monitored human expansion into nearby uninhabited systems will be permitted. Before ending the transmission, the alien added one final thought. We feared you because we misunderstood what you are. The Vorax sought to consume the universe. You seek to understand it. This distinction makes all the difference. 6 months later, Commander Jack Miller stood on the observation deck of Earth's first official interstellar colony ship. Below, representatives from 17 alien species gathered for the founding ceremony of a joint scientific outpost. Humanity had gone from quarantine threat to valued ally in less than a decade.